What's good, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Fresh
What was it? Squeeze.
Podcast. We're
Yeah.
back at it again. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe on this post. Stay in touch with us, man. Like we said, it's for the hoopers and the creators. It's for you guys. So you use code SQUEEZE for 10% off the Eintracht merch. It's linked down in the description below. Before we let's get straight into it, man. Today we're talking about all things creativity. Like we said, for the hoopers and the creators. So, Ant, first question that I like to ask you is, what are some difficulties that you faced being an athlete as far as balancing, hooping and your creative side?
I think probably the main thing that I ran into was facing a lot of stigmas, of being an athlete, and a lot of times, maybe working on projects or some school projects. My ideas weren't valued as much as I thought they should be at times at the beginning of a project. But a lot of times, quickly there was an understanding of like, okay, well, this guy, has definitely some things to bring to the table, and that's normally like only at the beginning if people don't really know me.
Right.
But as somebody who really values creativity and sees creators as kind of the same type of people and being wired the same as athletes, it kind of stings sometimes if you bring up an idea and it's kind of automatically pushed to the side without somebody listening to what you're actually saying. And a lot of the times it leads to a group that I work with wasting a little bit of time until like we get people, all right, well, yeah, that's good, but can we get any other ideas? That's just kind of just a stereotype that sometimes you got to deal with as an athlete, and we see it in the grander scheme of things. If an athlete ever drops a rap song or is in the movies or whatever, it automatically has kind of this negative connotation to it, like, okay, what's he trying to do? He's kind of trying to step out of his box. But I've seen it a lot. Even playing professionally in Germany, a lot of guys kind of have that creative itch, and it's cool to see. I mean, a lot of guys are hopping on TikTok right now during the quarantine, just to because they have this creative urge. So TikTok's not my thing. You won't see me on TikTok. Maybe on somebody else's account, just to kind of troll. But a lot of guys are hopping on that, and it shows that people have that creative itch, and we see it on social media more than ever. Guys making memes and everything. That's all creativity in my book. Doesn't matter if you're writing a book or creating a meme, man. It's all that same, all the same sections of your mind working together. But what kind of experiences have you had being an athlete and a creator at the same time? Maybe some difficulties that you didn't expect.
I mean, it's kind of the same thing as you going into like just in school. A lot of times people just know you as this because they never really meet you. Like they just see you, like everybody around you knows who you are, but they don't know you. So you can say something and everybody just look at you like, oh snap, like yeah, like we on board with that type stuff. So I mean, for me, I've had it on both sides. So it's like, when I was younger, it'd be like I'd say something, like I guess in a creative scale, and then we go out to hoop or something. People be like, "Oh, you hoop too?" That's in one area, and then most of the time around school, when I just go around the area, it's just like, "Oh, he's a hooper. Like we know who he is." A lot of people don't know because I don't like. I might write a lot of stuff, but before this year, last couple of years, I didn't really have anything posted.
Yeah.
So
Not to cut you off, but that just reminded me. You remember the tournaments? We used to go out recording, and
yeah,
people wouldn't know us, right? And they would just think, oh, they're the cameraman. And
Yeah,
then like at night we would play in our games, and they're like, "Oh man, these guys play basketball too." And
yeah,
that was kind of fun because normally it's the exact opposite.
right. Yeah, man. It's just it's all about just perspective, I guess. Like I kind of like it though. It's kind of like a dual-edged sword. Like we just walk in, we could be two different people. You know what I'm saying? Affect two different like audiences. Like I just love that about creativity, just being creative. But as far as that, man, you spoke on it a little bit. About our journey, man. Kind of get into how you started. Your creative mind.
Oh man, I always had it. I always had like this creative side to me. When I was in kindergarten and first grade, I had a GameCube, and I'd be on NBA Live 2003,
Hmm.
and the first thing I ran to would be create a player. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
I'd create my player, and I'd be mad that they wouldn't say Watkins. I have Watkins on my jersey, but they wouldn't announce Watkins. They'd be like number 8. I'm like, man. But yeah, man, it was always there. But where I really kind of got into, you know, there's a difference between being creative and being a creator.
Hmm.
And I think I really got into being a creator maybe fifth grade, sixth grade. Uh that was around the time where the iPod Touch was really popular, at least in Germany.
Hmm.
And I had one without a camera, but I had some friends at school in Germany that that had ones with cameras. So we would make little movies on the iPods, and I don't know, man. Those might turn up a couple of years down the line. I don't know. In my mind, they're sensationalized. They're these blockbuster movies. I might just keep it that way. Maybe we'll just get those deleted because in my mind, those are some blockbuster films on those iPods. But man, it was fun because not only were we being creative, but like it taught me to be very resourceful. You know what I'm saying? And kind of see an idea and be like, all right, no idea is too big. We're gonna go for it. And there was no worry about like, oh, well, is this gonna be good or is it not gonna be good? Because for us, we're like, okay, these are just gonna be on our camera roll on our iPods, and we're gonna look back at them and kind of laugh about it. And we mostly did it just to pass the time.
Right.
Um, and we had this, what really wouldn't have been anything more than that, but then we found this app called Action Movie Effects,
Hmm.
and you could like put like missiles and like gunshots and stuff in the movies. And man, that just kind of sparked an entire new thing. Like, whoa, like I'm thinking, okay, that's just some Hollywood stuff, but then these
Right.
Hollywood effects were like right in my grasp.
Right.
And it kind of opened me up. I was like, what are the possibilities really of making movies specifically?
Hmm.
And yeah, man, it just kind of spiraled from there. I started watching stuff on YouTube and trying new things, and eventually really got into filmmaking. And I'd say I'm a pretty good editor and filmmaker, and definitely an underrated actor as well. Uh, you can check out. I got a little piece here on the channel. I know there are some fans, of the Sean character and Did I Ask.
I heard he did well in that project.
I did too. I did too. I already didn't do half bad.
Hmm.
But on the other spectrum of things, because for those of you who don't know, really kind of my first love was writing, and I got into that really early, maybe second or third grade. I actually wrote a short story, um, and it was about a student in a wheelchair. And bro, thinking back to it, that was really elite. I forgot how elite that story was, but it was actually inspired by one of my kindergarten classmates.
Really.
And yeah, because he was in a wheelchair. Richard, I don't know if you're watching this, but if you are, shout out to Richard. And yeah, it inspired me to write a little story because there was a writing competition. I think it was in first grade, and we ended up illustrating it. Me and my mom, we ended up illustrating it and like getting like it wasn't like a binder, but you know those plastic kind of like ring around book covers.
Yeah, yeah.
We did that and sent it into the writing competition. I ended up winning, and you know, but again, it wasn't kind of like with the movies. I didn't do it because I wanted to win a competition or because I wanted to get views on YouTube or whatever. You know, I was just kind of doing it for the love of creating something, and I enjoyed writing the piece and you know coloring in the illustrations and everything, and kind of seeing the creation of this thing more than even winning the award.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that kind of went into my grandfather was an author and an artist, and you know really a renaissance man. He did everything. One of my major creative inspirations, probably the smartest man I've ever met in my life, and somebody I often kind of look up into the heavens to and ask for advice when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to things. You know, just a major inspiration in my life in that aspect. And he wrote multiple books, and so I was like, you know, if he can write a book, I can write a book. So I'd always be in Germany in the summers, and you know, I started writing on a little book, and I'd actually forgotten about that project. I might pick it up once I'm done with the series I'm writing now.
Uh-oh.
Uh, you know, but
You
was
gonna
working on a little.
series? You
You
gonna let
said
you gonna let us and the fans know something about the series, man? You've been kind of hushed about that.
man, we might get to it. We might get to it. Maybe on another episode. But right now, I just kind of want to talk about you know the roots of everything. Because I feel like a lot of people watching are either creative people who want to kind of you know get some inspiration as a creative person. You're always looking for you know new ideas and an inspiring story, and you know to any you know athletes out there in this quarantine time who don't have anything else to do, you know, maybe you take something from what we say, and you kind of start your own creative journey. And like I said before, it really doesn't matter, you know, if it's making memes or TikToks, you know, that's up to you. But you know that, and we'll get to that a little bit later in the episode, but you know it all comes full circle. You
Mm-hmm.
know, being creative isn't just you know something that, like I said in the first episode, was it? You know, I was thinking it's kind of a distraction, but
Right.
it all runs together, man. Being creative has helped me in a lot of ways on the basketball court as well,
Mm-hmm.
and in my you know short so far career and budding career, but yeah. So back to my roots though. You know, started writing that book, and it was fun. It was fun and a cool experience, and kind of bouncing things off of my grandfather and learning some things. And school kind of got in the way, honestly. Uh, got into middle school, and work kind of started picking up, and basketball started picking up, travel ball, and I just had less and less time. And I'd say if I have any regrets, it would be not finishing that before my grandfather passed. It was just really unexpected. You know, I kind of thought he'd be here forever.
Right.
And yeah, that's if I were to say I had any regrets so far in my life, that would probably be one, because I really wanted him to help me finish that project and you know kind of co-write that with me, but you know we never really got that chance. So that's something that's motivating me now to finish this series I'm working on now. And like I said, you know, thinking back to it now, you know, I might pick that one up if I don't have any other projects that I'm working on, because that's kind of like an open door in my life right now. So
Right.
closing the book on that would be very satisfying. But man, how about you, man? I think I know the answer to this. Maybe, maybe, and I'd be excited if I know the answer. But how did you start on this path, man, to becoming? Listen, this guy, director and writer of an 18,000 view, 97% percentage, right? 97
Something like that, man.
video on YouTube. If y'all have been on YouTube, y'all know how hard it is to have that type of like percentage. And this guy right here, man, put together. I'm not gonna call it because, but very well done. And you know, how did you start on that journey, man? Like even thinking in that way. Cause like if you guys watch that video, we'll link that in the description. If you watch that video, you'll know this dude's in a completely different headspace.
Yeah, there's some stuff to me, man. You know me long enough, you know there's something going on up here. But like, I mean, I think I know what you're hitting at, but I think I'm gonna say it. That's one of them that got in that the reason I got into it. But I feel like, since a young age, I always had a creative mind. Like my mind was just different. Like I was always interested in solving stuff. So, when I was younger, um, I used to have a lot of puzzles. Like, as a kid, you have puzzles. I had a Scooby Doo puzzle, Spider-Man puzzle, and I used to always love putting them together. But the thing is, with me, like, I would put them together once, and then somehow I felt the need to, like, try to put them together a different way, and that's not how it works. So I can never solve it again. But I just like how, like, each piece tells a story and adds to the story of the whole creation of it. And so, like, my mom used to call me Puzzle Man, and then, yeah, that was in Michigan. Then when we came down here, um, I had these blocks. What are they called? I just had like building blocks or something like that, like the little bricks and red pieces, red and blue and yellow. And for some reason, like I always used to try to build forts with the things, and I would always run out. So I remember one day, I don't think I was watching anything, but my door frame was like right here, and I was just like, I'm gonna just block myself in, like I'm gonna create like a wall. I just I just started building piece by piece by piece. I only got halfway there, and then I stopped. And then I started trying to make forts and stuff. But I was like, bro, why am I trying to create this? So like, it's always, I think the creative side's always been there, just like curiosity. But as far as like, the filmmaking side and, the on-screen side, that just started with me watching TV. I mean, I know I watched some movies I wasn't supposed to be watching when I was younger.
We all did. We
Yeah,
all did.
and like Friday, like I watched Fridays, like one of my all-time favorite movies. I'm just sitting there. I'm like how is this put together? I watched a lot of TV as a kid, and you see all this stuff, and you're like, dang, well, wondering how you can make it different and creating all types of stuff. And in my brain, I'm just like, I'm going crazy. I'm like, oh man, I could do this, do this, do this. But like as far as the writing thing, I never knew how to really do it. I just saw it, and I was just thinking of just different, scenarios in my head of what it would be. But it didn't get real. Like that was in like elementary school, and then middle school it kind of cooled off. As far as like I still had the creative mindset, but there wasn't really any pieces that I was putting together. Like I wasn't writing, none of that kind of stuff. But I think this is what you were hitting at, man. Freshman year.
Yep.
Freshman year. Linked with this guy, man. We stuck. What was it? Q? It was Quindarius? Yeah.
Q.
It was me, him, and Q. We were stuck at school one day. We got out early or something. No, it was exams.
Yeah.
And we all ain't have rides. And dudes was just bored. So it was like, man, this is when we figured out, we both like in the creative mindset too, I think.
Yeah, because I remember we were bored, and I was like, I think, oh yeah, it was exams, and I had made like a movie for exam, and one of y'all asked like, oh, you got anything else? I was like, well, I mean, because we were still like, we were good friends, but like we weren't, it was still like really like basketball, and 2K, and those were kind of the things that we were talking about a lot, and we were talking a lot, but there's always kind of that point where it's like, okay, well, I don't know, what I'm saying, I don't know how on board he is, with this kind of side of things. And so I showed y'all that the other two movies I had made to that point, as far as like short films, And I was like, shoot, man, we got time. Why not make one now? And y'all were on board.
Yeah, I remember. I remember the first scene. I had to like, I think it was like basketball. I had to break Q off. We had to film it like 3 times because I kept missing the shot. And Q was like, "No, bro, why I gotta be beat?" That just was funny. Shout out to Q if you watching this, man. I know you remember that, man.
Q, you gotta leave a comment if you're watching this, man.
Yeah, man. That's what started the journey, man. But get into that, like it wasn't even writing. It was just like I think we just completely came up with that, like just off the dome, like the whole thing. And it turned out to be, dang, I think that's a lost archive right there. I don't think we'll ever see that file.
Oh no, it's on a laptop somewhere in the crib, man. It's on that white MacBook. So it definitely exists, but yeah, who knows when I'll make the deep dive. But if we need to get to it, we'll get to it for sure.
I'm sure, but I'm sure compared to the stuff now, it looks terrible. But at the time being, we were so hyped. We was like, man, we just made this. It was so lit. But yeah, that propelled me. I was just like, all right, well, I really like this, but I never really, still got into writing. I never really wrote until sophomore year, I think. I got with Mr. Dallimore. Shout out to Mr. Dallimore if you're watching this. I think I took his class, or I had his winter room or something like that. And we just got it all into filmmaking. No, it was his tea. I think me and you were in his tea term.
Yeah, tornado term.
Yeah. And we just started, like, I just really liked this. Like, I was kind of drawn into acting and all that kind of stuff. I'm not, the best actor, but that's one of the things that really.
You don't give yourself enough credit.
But no, that really propelled me because, like, the warm-ups, like, I seen what all was going into it. Like, he is an actor just teaching us different, like, games and stuff. And I was, like, really vibing with the games. There's, like, one where you had to, like, had a ball, you had to create something out of it. And so it was lit. Like, that's when I was really like, all right, let's do this. And I think, like, my first piece, since we had Did I Ask? I think we had filmed some stuff for you. But as far as, like, my first piece, it was, like, I think junior year when the return videos, man. Because
16 before?
16 it was like right before.
Right before. Yeah. It was right before all that happened.
Yeah, we had to put in 16 is, dang, I forgot the website. I forgot the website for that was on, that we put that on.
No, that was for Film Riot.
Yeah, we put that in the short film contest. See, we
1 minute film challenge.
Yeah, and that
was stick that in the description too, I guess.
Yeah, if y'all want to see those humble beginnings, you can tune into that for sure. But like we said, and like it's just tough, as a creative mind, because we always come up with these blockbuster ideas. And the contest we were putting it in was a 1 minute short film, so we had to put like 2 hours to an hour, like hours worth of stuff in 1 minute. And so it's slick. Like looking at it now, probably doesn't make any kind of sense. Like it's probably hard to follow, but I guess we tried.
Plus, there were no words.
Yeah,
we wanted to challenge ourselves on that and not use any dialogue. So
yeah,
who knows if anyone understands it? But like I said, if you need any inspiration, shoot, we'll put it in the description. I have no shame.
Yeah, for sure, man. You gotta start somewhere. But yeah, and then I think the next thing down the journey that really started me kind of structuring, my mind, and not only just like telling the story, but telling it through the screen. Because like for me, like personally, I was never good at telling stories like verbally, like orally, because my mind, like I talk fast on here, like I kind of just telling you, like my mind moves a mile a minute and it's faster than my mouth. But like I can write it out and still just get going. So I started with like I had got hurt, and this is kind of what I was talking about in the first intro video, about finding that other outlet. So I was like, man, what can keep me sane during this? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not able to hoop. Like there's a point where I can't even walk. Like I'm stuck in the bed. I gotta do something other than just watch TV. So it's like, all right, well, this is how I'm gonna get through this. Like I'm gonna just document what I'm doing and then start a goal and have it and just see how far I can get along to it. And that's kind of how the first returning video came. And I think Patience, which is the sequel, uh, if y'all want to see that, we'll probably link that down in the description too. That was just me wanting to fulfill the whole chapter of it. Just because I feel like it kind of got left off. I kind of left y'all on a cliffhanger in the first one if you watched the first video. But I remember that, man, it was so much that went into that. I know he was the main director of photography and the main guy in this, so he knows all the backstory behind every scene, every shot, everything that was going on through my head, man. So it was very tedious. But yeah, man, that's what got it started for me. And now it's more that was kind of documentary style, but now it's just more like fully being creative. Like now, what did I ask? Well, we went into that. Now it's kind of like not necessarily certified, but I've had a minor scale of success. So now it's just building on top of that.
Yeah, most definitely. It's time. It's time for our break. You're going to hear a word from our sponsor. It's actually my brand. That's why there's no notification at the beginning of the video, because this is my personal brand. And we'll see you when we get back.
Time to write your story. Time to let your imagination go. Where do you want to live? What car do you want to drive? What places do you want to see? It's all up to you now. It's your story to write. Leave the story of your past behind and write a new one. And be ready to live what you write, because this story will be like no other. But it will share one thing with all of their stories. This story will start with a hero. And that hero is you.
Welcome back to the Fresh.
Squeeze
Podcast.
I gotta keep it creative, man.
I wouldn't know. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe if you made it this far. Appreciate you guys for staying tuned. We right back into it. For the Hoopers that made it this far, this is the part that you guys have been waiting for. Everything's coming back full circle, man. Coming back to creativity in basketball. So we'll just get straight into it. And as your career is going along and your budding career, that's going on to different passageways now. Have you found that creativity has helped you, just hooping wise?
Man, it can go as deep as to like preparing for a game.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll start with that part. So, I think we touched on this, maybe not really in the last episode, but the game of basketball specifically, and I think all sport is it's a lot mental. Most of it is mental rather than your pure ability. And so me, a big part of what I do is preparing and the preparation for the game, whether that be in practices or the day of the game. And when I write, it kind of strengthens that part of my mind that is able to picture things. And so if I'm telling a story or writing a story or anything, that part of my brain is really activated. And it's the same part of my brain that's activated if I'm visualizing, what's going to happen in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a huge part of it, because the better I become at writing, the better I become at visualizing. And the better I become at visualizing, the better I can perform on the court. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing in practice. If I'm practicing like it's a game. And so if I'm able to visualize while I'm doing a task, for instance, that's where my limited so far experience in acting comes into play, because you got to kind of play tricks with yourself in your mind, and it's like, okay, well, really this is not a game, this is just a Tuesday night practice. But at the end of the day, if I kind of get into character, and it's like, all right, well, this is game 7 of the NBA Finals, I'm going to approach it differently, regardless of, okay, well, his intensity, this and that. But if I approach a normal practice with the intensity and focus of game 7 of the finals,
right,
and I'm only going to be better for it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it could be as cut and dry as you need it to be. Other people might say, well, you're preparing yourself for that moment. And, when you get there, it's nothing new to you, which I believe personally. But if you look at it logically, if you focus in, if you focus your mind to the point to where, okay, this is the NBA Finals for me, and you practice with that intensity, you're only going to improve, because you're practicing with the highest level of focus that you can. So I think that's why it's vital for athletes and everyone to kind of have that creative side to things, because humans are wired to be creative. If you kind of look back into our history as a species, and I'm a big science guy. I'm big into space, big into history. And so, kind of, if you look back to early humans, the reason early humans were able to survive was because, they were able to make tools. And so what is making tools? That's creativity, at its simplest, making tools, that requires that same part of your brain. And so you're making something to survive. And it's something that everyone can use. If you're working in an office and you're more creative than the next guy, you're more likely to get that promotion. That's just how the world works, especially in the social media age. The companies with the best commercials are going to be the most successful. And marketing and commercials are all creativity. Exactly. And so that kind of that leads into the next part, so on the court, creativity is a huge thing, and even if it goes even deeper than that, than just practice and visualization. But I'll go into that in a later episode. But kind of moving on to, off the court stuff that's related to basketball. Once you get into that professional realm, it's all about, and even in college to an extent, but really once you hit that pro realm, it's all about building your brand. You know what I'm saying? That's part of the reason I kind of started the Einfach brand. And you're marketing yourself to all these teams. You know? So what you're putting on social media shows how you view the world and the game. You know what I'm saying? You're always kind of in a tryout. So one thing, for instance, when I signed my first deal, I made an announcement video. And for me, that was just something like I always, thought about, and I wanted to make an announcement video. But, lo and behold, once I get there, now this team is marketing me tremendously. And I think a lot of that, and I could be wrong, but I think a lot of that had to do with that video that I made. One, it showed them, okay, this guy can be in front of a camera. So they were sending me to kind of do commercial shoots. Two, it showed that I had some personality, and, it gives people a look into kind of who you are, or, for some people at least, like who you want them to believe you are. So, next thing I know, I look up, I'm walking through the city and I see myself on posters here and there. And I wasn't even really getting a lot of minutes. I wasn't a starter on the team, but yeah, I think a lot of that had to do with, before I even stepped foot on into my apartment there in that city, I had already shown my marketability.
Right.
And that's a huge thing that I wouldn't have been possible for me if I didn't have my creative background.
Right.
And it was really encouraging to me again, and that's kind of been a theme in my life that, all right, this creative stuff that you're doing really helps you out in the long run, like the commercial that you guys just got done watching, I actually made myself, since this is my brand. This all, it wouldn't have been possible if I, had said, okay, well, being creative is a distraction. But for me now, I'm in the off season, and my contract was done in March, so I don't have a set income right now. I'm not getting so and so much a month, so and so much a week. So my brand, that's something that's helping me stay afloat financially, and helping me continue to live. It's not a super lavish lifestyle that I'm living right now, but it's continuing to help me have financial security in the real world, as they like to call it. So those are some things for me that I didn't really think about, when I was writing creative essays in high school. But
Right.
really, really committing to doing that and training that part of my mind is, in my opinion, one of the only reasons I have these jerseys hanging behind me, because I was able to build my brand to a point to where people saw me as a valuable asset. And of course, the talent is a factor. But like I said, your creativity, to all the hoopers out there, helps you to become a better basketball player. For me, if I'm training and I'm not visualizing a defender in front of me, I might as well go home. Because if you see that chair that's in front of you as just a chair, or that cone as just a cone, then it's not doing anything for you. And on that same note, if you visualize that defender in a game as a defender and not as a cone, it's no good. It's no good. So, your mind is your most valuable asset, and the mind loves to be creative. That's how the mind continues to grow, in my opinion. But how did, especially, your situation was very unique, that you didn't, you were just kind of in a situation where it was like, all right, look, work hard and let the chips fall where they may, more or less, with colleges. And I mean, is that right? Kind of based on what you told me, they didn't want y'all to worry about that too much. So how much did like your creative mind and kind of, picturing these scenarios help you to kind of stay sane through that and stay motivated, and just in general, like with your training and whatever, how is that creative background poured into your athletic career, maybe not even necessarily basketball?
Yeah, I mean, it made me grow. Like I said a lot. Like I said in the last episode, like there's a ton of growth, and that's very layered. Like I'll probably talk about it and speak more about it on some more episodes. But as far as just creativity, like I found myself, I studied the game a lot, and I watch a lot of Kobe, and I watch podcasts, like watch and listen to a lot of podcasts and interviews, and I just hear what these guys are saying, and there's some stuff that I just picked up that like I picked it up from. I can't tell you where I got it from. Like I just picked it up from different spectrums, but it's like I found myself using my mind because, like I said, the game is, like we've been saying, the game is like 90% mental. So I was like, all right, how can I find a competitive advantage in the way? R.I.P. Wade again, man. I might just have to take him out of the rotation, man. He keeps loading.
Put it in the chat. Put it in the comments. R.I.P. Wade, if you made it this far. Every time he falls, you already know what to do. Let's hope it's not a theme. Hopefully Melvin can get some better tape.
Something, bro. Like I need another poster. If you want to hit me up with a poster, that'd be elite.
Man, hey, can
Appreciate it.
someone design a Melvin poster? You know, we'll put your Instagram. We're gonna put your Instagram right there. We're gonna put the little tag. Look, y'all got. Can I give them permission to take a picture off of your Instagram and make a poster of you?
Go ahead, man. Go
Look,
ahead.
you have creative license. This might be the project you've been waiting on. Quarantine project. Make Melvin a better poster that
Please.
sticks.
Yeah,
But
man.
one quick thing that I just thought of. You remember when we were at Jay Billis camp? I
Yeah.
don't know if you were. I don't know if you were there with me, but Paul Biancardi. For those of you who don't know, he's like a major analyst for recruiting at ESPN, and he said good players score with the ball, or I think
With their feet. I think I was there.
with their
Yeah.
feet. Great players score with their eyes, I think, and pros score with their mind. And I remember being like, dude, what do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I feel like we all knew what he was talking about, but like we were like, dude, what are we gonna do? Like move him with our mind away from us? But you know, like I said, visualize that defender as a cone, man. He's a cone.
Yeah, bro. But going back into it, bro, like all right, this might kind of sound weird, but like for me, like I was kind of saying, like your identity as a hooper, bro, I feel like in my background of being able to write and creating characters, I just created characters that can hoop. And I just became that character. Honestly, like going onto the court, I'm not Melvin anymore. I'm a different, like I'm so and so or whatever. Like he's going into that mode and he's able to visualize what's going on. So like for me, naturally, like since I've been playing, I've always been able to see the game a couple steps ahead as far as like creating plays. Because a lot of times, like the same way with the way that I talk, my mind moves too fast. And so like I might throw a pass because I see it, but my teammate won't see it. And it'll be like, what were you thinking right here? Then we watch the film, be like, dang, like bro would have been wide open. But it's like I'm I'm moving so quickly. So that I said like as far as a visual aspect has always been there for me. But one thing I really got into this year was creating that, you know, these different personas to go out in these different games. I felt like a lot of times, like we had so many games, I was probably a different dude every game. And, you know, my skill set, I'm able to do everything on the court. So it's like some games I'll play this role, then next game I'll play that role, then, you know, etc. So it's like I'm a different dude just to see which one fits me the best. And, you know, at some point, you know, you want the one that, you know, encompasses all of them. And I felt like, you know, I'm finally at that point as far as a player. But yeah, without creativity in that, like without me being able to write and understand what makes a character go and fully step into being that character, like in playing that role, then I feel like I probably wouldn't be able to do that. And I probably would have been like held back as far as my growth just as a player. So for all the hoopers out there, Melvin says, create different characters, create a killer, create a Kobe Bryant, whatever you want to be, whatever you visualize yourself being, and then fully becoming like all out. Like I found myself thinking, like, what would this guy do at this moment? Like even at the house, like pregame stuff, like you were kind of talking about pregame stuff. All right, if I'm in this mode, what does this guy do? Does he, you know, go and chill with, you know, his teammates, all that kind of stuff? Does he isolate himself? Does he listen to music before a game? Does he write before a game? Does he do something weird? Does he try to have some kind of routine? And I just played around with that like through the whole year and just found what works for me. And whatever character that is, you add that to your alter ego of who you are on the court. So I'd say for sure, that's just my personal thing. You guys might have something completely different. I mean, we're all creative minds. You're watching this and hooping. You gotta be creative at some point because everything is not as simple. Like it's the game itself is simple, but the best, like you know, Ed said, like the best use their mind to kind of manipulate the game and think, you know, 3 steps ahead of what's going on.
Oh yeah, I think another thing is, you know, I mean, I think your strategy there, if you have any type of confidence issues, you know, whether it be athletically or just, you know, in general. I think that's a great method to kind of relieve the pressure of a situation, because you kind of trick your mind into believing, well, you know, if something bad happens, it's not happening to me, it's happening to, you know, this character that I've created, you know,
Mhm.
and that character is even, you know, able to even able to handle it's equipped to handle, you know, whatever comes at them.
Right.
You know, it kind of reminds me, sometimes I'd be in Germany at the mall with my cousin or something, and
Mhm.
we just act like Americans because we both can speak fluent German. And you know, sometimes just to kind of have some fun, we just act like we were just some regular old Americans and couldn't speak German. And yeah, it was fun. It was fun. And sometimes she'd be my translator, and sometimes I'd be her translator. It was just fun. And, you know, you kind of like get out of your comfort zone, because it's like, okay, I'm not myself right now. So there's really no risk involved.
Right.
Another thing is, uh, do you feel like, because I know you're one of the guys, you get up for the big games.
Yeah.
You get up for the big games. And so do you think, you know, sometimes it's kind of helpful? I know Michael Jordan did this in his career. By the way, super excited for this series coming out. Super excited. That's going to be great. That's going to be great. But you know, just kind of playing tricks on yourself as far as, you know, up in the stakes. So like for me, my first game with the last team I played with, it was funny. These are actually in order. You know, German national team was in the summer, and then started with Erfurt, and then went to Gießen. My first game in Gießen, you know, I was myself, but for me that was important, because the storyline of it was like, okay, you know, I'm gonna kind of prove this team wrong. So
Mhm.
like I'm, you know, into going into the game, I'm like, look, you know, first off, I'm gonna put on a show for all of these fans in Gießen, and second off, you know, uh, there's gonna be an article written about this game, and the people in that other city are gonna see and be like, oh man, you know, we messed up. We didn't really give him the opportunity that he needed to get.
Mhm.
And it's funny because, you know, I went into it and played really well. I think I had like 22-8, and unfortunately we lost, so it wasn't the perfect thing, and that kind of ticked me off. But it's funny how the world works sometimes, because right after the game, a reporter comes up to me and is interviewing me, and I'm like, oh, you know, this is really cool, because
Mhm.
that's kind of exactly what I had visualized happening, and that's the storyline I kind of, you know,
Right.
part of it obviously was true. You know, it was based on truth, but it was obviously over sensationalized in my mind just to kind of get me going. And so, do you think that's like a good strategy to have, maybe for every game, for some of these guys out here, kind of looking for that? You know, because I know there are a lot of guys out there who put in a lot of work, and you don't
Mhm.
really see it translate to games. So, do you think
Mhm.
that might be like a missing key for some guys?
I mean, yeah. I mean, like you just described, I feel like I was that, I was that type of guy because you can go see me like you can see me up putting up shots and putting my work in. You know what I'm saying? But then I'll get to a game and it's just like, oh well, where's all that going? Like, where's all that going? It's just mental. Um, or like I can be playing pickup and be killing, and then we go to a regular game. I'm just like, oh, just chilling.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying like, that's why I've said I'm a completely different player than last year because this year, like using the character method and just playing around with all these different guys. The cool thing about it is you create all these characters and put them in these different situations, but at the end of the day, all these characters are you. Like they turn into you. So like whatever character I am, like whatever character I was at the beginning of the year, I'm that. But at the end of the year, I'm that. Like that killer and that guy that wasn't really doing it. I was that, and I grew into that. So that makes me all those characters in one. So I think that's kind of the mindset that dudes should have. I mean, as far as the big games, I feel like I've always been like that, uh, just naturally. I mean, that's just the competitive nature uh, that a lot of people have. I feel like the only reason that people can get into the situation you're talking about where they've put in a lot of work and it doesn't necessarily translate when it just gets to overthinking, man. I mean, yeah, like I'd say for me, even when I was in that state, the games where, are quote unquote like we're outmatched or something like that, like it's a big game and I've gotten on for it and that you've seen, it's just been like I'm not thinking, I'm just hooping. Like it's like, all right, I'm not trying to lose this game. I'm not thinking about anything. Like whatever happens, happens. I'm letting everything rock, like how it is, and living with the results. And really, that's how you should go with every game because you understand you've put in the work as a hooper to everybody. Like to everybody, you've put in the work as a hooper. So understand that you can go out there and just do what you've been practicing, do what you do. Like the only time stuff happens when you start overthinking stuff. Like you miss a shot. Oh man, I missed one shot.
Yeah.
Or like you have a bad series and it just is a perpetual thing that keeps spiraling back and forth. And really, if you think about it over the course of the game, you could have had 3 turnovers the whole game, had 40 points, 10 assists, 7 boards, but you look back at that 3 turnovers.
Yeah.
You could have had in the first 3 possessions of the game, and that could have completely affected the outcome of your game, like personal game. You could have been like, dang, bro, I'm going to stop trying this move or I'm going to stop doing so-and-so. And then you end up having like 5 shooting 2 for 17 or something like that. It's just all mental.
Or worse, 5 shooting 2 for 5,
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, to all the hoopers out there. And I'm telling you guys this because I wish I would have understood this, at a younger age.
Oh, yeah.
It's all like it's literally all mental. Like if you go out there and if you're a kid creating characters, you go out there and you like, bro, I'm just about to kill. Obviously, if you haven't put the work in, you're gonna see that on the minimal scale as far as that, but your mindset and your look on the game afterwards will be a lot better. Like you can score 10 points. You can score 10 points in a game and have that be like scored 40, depending on who you are. Or you can have that and be that's a bad game. So it just depends on how you want to use it. But as far as answering your question, man, I think for sure you got to have that dog about you, that mentality about you if you're gonna hoop. If you're gonna hoop at a high level, if that's what you really want to do, really get your mindset right, and then everything else will follow.
Absolutely. Hey, looking at the time, don't want to keep you guys here too long. Let us know down in the comment section if you want us to go in more detail on the mental game, because I feel like that was kind of an exciting discussion there. A lot of good things, and there are some things, in my mind for sure that we can still go into. So if that's the type of stuff you guys are interested in, let us know, and make sure to share this video as well as comment, like, and subscribe. We're all in this together in this quarantine time, and we're still continuing to want to make some great content for you guys to enjoy and to kind of help the time pass by. And I hope you guys learned something from this, because if you're not learning anything, I mean, hopefully you were entertained as well, but hopefully if you're sitting down and watching us jaw on for so long, hopefully you took some things from it.
Make sure you guys tell a friend to tell a friend, man. Plug it, man.
And turn on those notifications, because if you don't get the squeeze while it's fresh,
it's not us.
It's not us. So turn on those notifications. Next episode is dropping on Sunday. Last episodes will be, matter of fact, we're just going to put a playlist in the description, and all of the videos that we mentioned are also in the description. If you are still in the YouTube mood, check those out, and stay tuned. Sunday will be here before you know it. Until then, this has been the Fresh
Squeeze
Podcast. Signing off. See y'all later.